Hello everyone, and thank you for joining us for another edition of Texas Insider TV, brought to you by SpeedStream. I'm Jim Cardle. Harvey Hillderbran is chairman of the House Ways and Means Committee and one of the leading conservative voices in the Texas legislature, which is in the middle of a session focused on tax reform. We're pleased to visit today with Harvey Hillderbran from HD 53 in Kerrville. Harvey, thanks for joining us.
My pleasure.
We have just run here recently part one of a two-part series. This is part two, talking about the tax code and your tax rewrite efforts. But after talking about tax tweaking in the first session here, now I want to get, if we can, and drill down into how we keep Texas competitive. Texas has got a fairly competitive tax code compared to other states. You're the chairman of the committee. Tell us what you're working on to keep Texas in front of everybody.
Well, exactly. Texas is a very competitive state. We're the leading economic force in the country because we're blessed with rich natural resources, rich human resources, and the entrepreneurial spirit and the fierce independence of Texans, hardworking Texans. So that together has made us the leader. We have great policy too. We have advantages in energy, both oil and gas, but also power generation and issues like that, having ERCOT. We have a right to work state, workforce development. We can always improve workforce development and education, but we have made great progress in those two areas to go with our energy advantages and our right to work advantages and other things that make us pro-business, a very friendly business climate to businesses within the state and ones that are looking to relocate to different parts of the country. And we're very competitive in attracting them. We are the fastest growing state and the job creation leader. Now, and there's lots of other things that we lead in, but I won't mention all, but we've done very well. However, you know, it's never rest for the weary and never rest for the leaders, because you've got to keep, people are chasing you, nipping at your heels, and you've got to continue to, you know, Louisiana, Oklahoma, they're always trying to, and other states are always trying to match what we've done or exceed it.
When you're the top monkey on the tree, everybody's aiming at your rear end.
Yeah, so basically what we've got is we've got to be even more competitive.
Okay.
So that means we've got to take advantage of things we have now. We're already the top 10 in tax policy issues, competitiveness, but we can do better. We need to make the margins tax fair and simpler for small business and give tax relief. And that's what we did in the first segment. We talked about tax relief, which means reforming it, but as a result of that reform, business taxpayers, especially small business taxpayers, would actually receive a tax cut and relief from the margins tax.
Well, let me ask you a little bit about that specifically, because there is a difference between tax reform and tax relief and tax competitiveness. Tell us what you're doing, or what some of the initiatives you're seeing other members bring forward in your committee.
You're seeing lots of amendments to help us with the margins tax fix and making it fair and simpler, but we're also seeing bills to specifically target a particular category of economic development. Okay. For instance, high tech. And you're seeing in another committee, they're dealing with research and development tax incentives to let the research and development of new products, improving products, creating new products, both in the private sector and with higher education research, to make sure that we're attractive nationally. California's the leaders. One of the few things they lead on. We could drive a stake in California's heart if we were to get close to where they are on their R&D, research and development policies. That reminds me, though, we don't have to match states. In the other areas, like I'm working on a bill to attract data centers, which are these huge investments to do all of the data, the bank, if you will, the place where all the data is stored, that's used all over the country. Well, we have tremendous advantages in that area because of our climate and because of our geographic location, being in the middle of the country.
And it's the manufacturing industry of the future, so to speak, is what we're hearing.
Latency issues where we're in the middle of the country, it doesn't take us any longer to get to the west coast or the east coast. So and then we're south of the tornado belt. Okay. So we have some huge advantages, but North Carolina, Georgia, Virginia, Arizona, Illinois, a number of other states have tried to take that away. We were the leader 10, 15 years ago. Now we're struggling to keep up and compete. So if we just improve the tax policy to make us a little more attractive, a little bit more competitive, but not match the tax incentives that these other states are giving, but just get in the ballpark, get in the game, and be in the top 10.
So
then we will win more than our share because of the other natural advantages we have. And you can basically make that argument in just about everything, R&D, all kinds of areas, and that's pro-growth policies, attracting investment from outside the state, encouraging our own businesses in the state to expand the businesses they have, employ more people, make more investments, grow their businesses, which means that activity will grow the revenue to the state and help us support the fastest growing state in the country and all this new population coming to Texas.
Well, let me ask you this, because you've got certain knobs in the machine that you can adjust at various levels, and folks may be familiar with the Amazon problem of a couple years ago where they were running a warehouse out of Dallas and they weren't sure whether to be collecting taxes or not. But is a tax incentive, are you talking about research and development incentives, property tax initiatives? Folks are familiar with Toyota and Samsung here in Austin.
Both those were 313 deals. That was a property tax exemption, and we've got a bill to extend that program and probably reform it. So it does need some reform. It needs basically a non-biased criteria in which you qualify instead of it being qualifying from some kind of favoritism. So there's some things that we've got to do to reform that, and we're working on that. But the other issues are similar. So we deal with property tax, deal with sales tax, deal with margins tax, R&D deductions or exemptions for sales tax or margins, business franchise tax, and so it's across the board. And you know what? Part of the thing that makes this so attractive has also been, or one of the things that's going to make us less competitive, is if we don't keep up on the appeal of our business climate tied to taxes, but also to infrastructure. So we're going to pass bills to invest in our infrastructure and try to move traffic on the highways and then in our metropolitan areas and in our oil and field areas where we have terrible infrastructure being eroded at a very fast pace.
And keeping the electricity on.
And keeping the electricity on.
Power concerns.
And having enough water not only for industry and for power, but for drinking water and for recreation and for all uses. And then improving our public education, having a better job training, vocational, making students that get out of high school that aren't going to go to college job ready, and actually customize programs with the business and industry for their needs, so people are ready to get trained in a short period of time at a new job and be a very effective, productive worker. So education, workforce development, all these other things all together make us competitive. We are the leader today. We are late on addressing some of these issues like water and on infrastructure. We're not too late. If we get it done, we will continue to be the beacon state economically and culturally and in other ways for the next 10, 15, 20 years. If we don't do it, we might not be there 5 years from now.
Okay, well, we're going to leave it there for our two-part interview with House Ways and Means Chairman Harvey Hillderbran. Chairman, thanks for coming by and you're
welcome.
Hard
My pleasure.
Work over there. Folks, be sure to tune back in for another edition of Texas Insider TV with Chairman Harvey Hillderbran. Remember, you're either an insider or you're not. I'm Jim Cardle.
So do you think I covered that whole conservative thing?